The physical benefits of low-carb diets. Low in carbohydrates are well known to all those interested in nutrition applied to weight loss. But do we know how they impact cognitively and emotionally? Are they really sustainable in the long term? It is true that the body can obtain glucose from any macronutrient, carbohydrates, fats and proteins. However, when you do not use carbohydrates, the efficiency with which you do is much lower, and this could have negative consequences on the functioning of our brain. Low-carb diets. We speak of low-carb diets to refer to those in which the energy from foods rich in carbohydrates is less than 30% of total energy consumption. In recent years it has become the most widely used nutritional strategy for the loss of body fat. The reason for its massive use against obesity lies in the importance of the role that carbohydrates play in the accumulation of body fat. However, there are other solutions in which, far from prohibiting them, attempts are made to moderate their quantity and adjust their glycemic index. Low-carb diets and intellectual performance. The human brain, although it only represents 2% of the total body weight, uses 20 to 30% of the energy we consume daily. Thus, we speak of a very demanding body that, due to its greater energy efficiency, uses carbohydrates as the main energy fuel. According to the above, there are several investigations that conclude that low-carb diets have a negative impact on the performance of cognitive tasks related to learning, attention and memory. However, it seems that this only happens in the short term, although it is also true that there are not many people who manage to sustain them over time. In the long term, when not eating carbohydrates becomes a lifestyle, it seems that there are a number of adaptations that make obtaining energy from amino acids, structural unit of proteins and fatty acids, more efficient. Thus, most long-term research has not impaired any cognitive function. On the other hand, when we talk about people with cognitive impairment, it seems that low-carb diets are beneficial. This is because the brain of those with Alzheimer's loses its ability to use glucose as a source of energy, something that makes the cognitive impairment even greater. However, at least during the early stages of the disease, these people's brains are capable of using ketone bodies, substances derived from the mobilization and breakdown of fatty acids, for energy. Thus, it seems that low-carb diets improve the cognitive functioning of those with mild impairment. This is shown by the results of a preliminary trial published by the Alzheimer's Disease magazine in April 2019. Too bad it is so difficult to maintain this type of dietary guidelines over time. What happens emotionally? In this case, something inverse happens to what we have been commenting on. Unlike what happens with intellectual performance, although in the short term it seems that low-carb diets do not negatively impact emotional state, in the long term they do. This would be a consequence of the reduction of serotonin levels in the brain. The adherents of the low-carb diet. Low-carb diets are possibly the food strategy that generates the least adherents. This is due to various reasons. Not consuming carbohydrates means going against the established social pattern. In Western culture, cereals, tubers, fruits and legumes are the basis of food. So not consuming them is an excessive effort that causes the diet to end up failing. In humans, food has a social function that low-carb diets cannot fulfill. Limiting carbohydrate intake impoverishes the range of available foods. The restriction is such that the person ends up falling into a monotonous and unsustainable diet. As seen above, the diets low-carb generate negative mood. In addition, sometimes people need food to regulate our emotions, and this is impossible with these types of dietary guidelines. Thus, except in exceptional cases and regardless of their theoretical physical benefits, it seems that low-carb diets are not a good alternative. They reduce short-term intellectual performance, negatively impact emotional state and do not generate adherence.